Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Nathan.
Welcome to this episode of Adventures and Mousecapades. This week, we're going to ponder how many licks it actually does take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop.
1, 2, 3. 3.
Exactly.
Yes. What are we talking about this week, Alicia?
This week, we are talking about the cruise ship tour that we did on a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
We got to tour 3 different cruise ships, 3 different brands, if you will, of cruise ship.
3 different cruise lines, 3 different ships.
So we're going to do a quick little rundown of that and what we thought of each ship and if we're going to book any from that.
Indeed. So just as a disclaimer, this is not a sponsored podcast episode, though we did take advantage of an offer that the travel agent that the Microsoft Employee Benefits Program works with. They're called Travel Perks, and they offered something up to Microsoft employees and some other folks as well to come tour some cruise ships while they were here in port for the day between cruises. So we got on as the previous excursion was disembarking and all sad that they had to get off the ship. And then we were able to get on kind of before and as the next sailing up to Alaska was getting on board. Yeah. And so we paid our own way. Nobody had any say into this. This is not sponsored, but do want to give an acknowledgement and a thank you to Travel Perks for letting us do 3 days worth of tours. It was really, really cool.
It was. Now, we've done something like this way back in, I think it was 2018. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what ship it was. Oh, it was a Holland America ship.
I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more tired than anything that we saw this weekend.
This is true.
That was well, I don't think we'll sail on this one. Was it a Holland America?
It's easy to go back and check.
I don't remember. It doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about that one.
No. We will talk about this most recent one that we did.
Indeed. So we were able to get on and tour the Celebrity Solstice, the Norwegian Bliss, and the Holland America Westerdam. These are 3 very, very different ships and 3 very, very different cruise lines. Mm-hmm. Now, as you know, Alicia and I are platinum on Disney Cruise Line, and we've got 13/14 cruises under our belts, respectively. Mm-hmm. And so, we basically spent the whole time kind of comparing to what we know and comparing to the Disney Wonder or the Fantasy or the Wish. And so you'll hear us. Well, we'll kind of do those comparisons and share what our thoughts are along the way. So I'm going to give a real quick rundown that kind of explains the differences of these ships and what we're talking about. So the first one that we toured on Friday was the Celebrity Solstice. It has a max capacity of 2,850 passengers, which puts it a little larger than the Disney Wonder's max capacity of 2,400, but definitely under the Fantasy and the Wish, and of course the Dream and the Treasure and the Magic, but you get what I'm going for. Those are at 4,000, the bigger ships, and the Celebrity Solstice again is at 2,850. And it has 1,425 rooms. So you can see this is really meant for couples. There's not a ton of rooms that have a lot of multiple berths like you'd see on a Disney ship.
Compared to how many rooms on the Wonder?
The Magic and the Wonder have 875 rooms. So like 60% of the size in terms of room count, but an almost comparable number of total passengers. So that's where you're coming from. The Fantasy and the Wish and the Dream, and you get it, all come in around 1,250 rooms. The Solstice has 14 decks. The Wonder has 10, and the Fantasy and the Wish have 13. The Wish has 2 extra decks, from the Tower Suite. Now, these are passenger decks, and these aren't, there may be, A, B, C decks, or some decks aren't accessible to passengers. So we're just counting passenger decks here. And of course, some of them skip the number 13, whatever. This is the raw number.
Yeah.
The Solstice is about 1,041 feet long, 120 feet wide, 121 feet to be exact, versus the Wonder is a 984 feet long. The Fantasy and the Wish clock in around 1,120, just under that number. Yep. So it's a little bit shorter than the Fantasy and the Wish, and a little bit longer than the Wonder. Mm-hmm. So this is where ships really come in, though. You have to deal with their gross tonnage, which there's math and calculations. It's not just weight. Just go with us here. The Solstice is 122,000 gross tons. The Wonder is only 84,000. The Fantasy and the Dream are 130,000 gross tons, and the Wish and Treasure and TBD are 144,000 gross tons. So it's a mid-sized ship, definitely on the bigger end. And the Solstice came out in 2008, the end of 2008. So the Celebrity Solstice. Alicia, what'd you think?
I really enjoyed the ship. Mm-hmm. I liked the feel of it. I liked the brightness and modernity. Is that the right word?
Sure.
The modernness of the ship itself, basically.
Yeah.
It had gone in for a refurb or a dry dock, I believe, at some point, because it was the second oldest ship that we toured while we were doing these at 2008. I really liked the vibe of this. It was nice and open, bright inside. We were impressed by the rooms.
We kind of talked about it as a Disney Cruise Line equivalent, but for adults.
Yeah.
And one of the staff folks from Celebrity actually had a really great phrase. And they said that Celebrity is kid friendly, but it's not family focused. Mm-hmm. So if you want to bring your kids on a Celebrity cruise, that's fine. But the cruise ships aren't necessarily set up for catering to kiddos and young adults. It's really about older adults having a vacation, trying to relax, that kind of thing. And we really kind of loved the vibe. It was really great. I would absolutely sail on one of these ships. It's interesting. So the Solstice is, it's a newer ship, but it's not their newest ship in Celebrity. And the Celebrity Edge, which is their brand new class of ships, is actually transitioning and will be doing the Alaska season here in Seattle or out of Seattle next year and moving forward. So very, very interested to see that.
Yeah. And they do have kids clubs and stuff on board. Mm-hmm. It's just not, as you'll hear when we talk about the Norwegian, it's not full of all these crazy kid activities.
Right.
One of the things that they did mention was if they have a lot more children on a sailing, they will bring in additional staff for the kids clubs based on the number of kids that they have on board.
Yeah. On the other hand, and it's not to say that Celebrity is a drinking cruise, like it's not a carnival, like it doesn't have that kind of reputation, but I mean, they're known for being a little bit more swanky. Like they're known for their martini bars and they're just the kind of nightlife and going out. It's worth noting that Celebrity is owned by Royal Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And so of those two lines, Royal Caribbean is more of their family focused kind of cruise line where you do have a lot more kids activities and you've got surfing, standing wave tide pools. I forget what they call it. You've got rock climbing and all the rest of that stuff. Whereas on the top deck of the Celebrity Solstice, there is a half acre of freshly manicured, amazingly soft and beautiful lawn. That's right. They have a lawn on their ship.
Which I don't really understand the point of. It looked pretty. I know they had like bocce ball and probably movies on the lawn, stuff like that, but I don't understand the point of it.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. They had a putting green,
nice.
an actual putting green.
It looked nice, but why?
Why not?
Okay. They also had on the ship we were on a glass blowing venue, basically. It's like,
yeah, you could take glass blowing classes or watch somebody else do it. So that was really kind of cool. They have, let's see, their theater has about a 1,300 seat auditorium, and they have the concierge equivalent on Celebrity is called the Retreat. And it's nice, it has its own separate lounge and things like that. I would be interested in maybe doing that someday, but I think that the rest of the ship and the rest of the experience on the Celebrity ships kind of seems a lot more elevated, to the point where I don't know that I'd really need to be in a concierge or the Retreat here kind of offering, because I'd be just super happy being on the rest of the ship.
We'd have to see all what is entailed in the Retreat class. Now, the Retreat class, a couple of the things that I know you can get is they do have their own area in the theater, so they have reserved seating for that. And there is do they have a restaurant?
I think they do, yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple things on there, but for the most part, like Nathan said, just the regular offerings for the normal cruisers, the non-retreat cruisers, seemed plenty.
Yeah, absolutely. The one knock I will give on the Celebrity Solstice, and I really do think it is on this ship and not necessarily on Celebrity as a cruise line. Whoever designed the interiors of the ship, specifically the staterooms, but I saw other issues as well, there aren't enough outlets. Like the penthouse suite that we got to tour has an extension cord taped down to the floor so you could have an outlet by the bed. Like there's no outlets by the beds. It's insane. Like what? Like they just missed the mark. So I'm interested to see their brand new ships, with the Edge, if they have addressed that. And I just think that the Solstice seems to be an older design that wasn't, it's weird because it came out in 2008, but the proliferation of tech for personal tech in the last 15 years. Oh my God, it's been 15 years since 2008. Anyhow, it is behind its times in terms of those kind of amenities and what we're used to seeing on Disney ships and frankly in hotel rooms kind of anywhere. It just, that was a miss. That was a miss. But again, there's ways to overcome that. And I'm interested to see what they have on the Edge.
Yeah. One of the other things I have as a note here is that on each ship, there's over $3 million worth of artwork. And they have in the Celebrity app, they have an art tour for each ship.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. We appreciate good art on ships. And there was some good stuff. Good stuff. Now, well, we'll get there, but it wasn't the best art that we saw on a cruise ship during this weekend of tours, but it was pretty good. All right, let's move on, shall we?
All right, we're moving on to the Norwegian Bliss next.
The Norwegian Bliss is the same size as the Fantasy and the Wish in terms of passenger capacity, about 4,000 guests max, but it has a little over 2,000 rooms versus just 1,250 on the Fantasy and the Wish. So again, this is your double occupancy max for most rooms coming into play. So if you've got a larger family, you're either going to be getting a suite or you're going to be getting multiple rooms to accommodate everybody. The Bliss is a big boy. It comes in just under 1,100 feet long. The Fantasy and the Wish are a little bit longer. However, the Bliss is much wider. It's 136 feet wide versus the Wish comes in at 128, 121 wide on the Fantasy, and the Magic and the Wonder are just 106 feet wide. The Norwegian Bliss is 168,000 gross tons. So that's another 24 tons larger than the Wish at 144, and the Wonder's a measly 84,000 gross tons. So this sucker is big, and it is the newest ship that we have toured on this weekend, having launched in June of, or maiden voyage at least, in June of 2018. So this is, let me add a point of clarity here. I looked up the numbers and stats on these boats and cross-referenced so many different sites. And some of these places would give you double occupancy. Some of them would only give you a single number. Some of them give you multiple. They all disagreed with each other. So while all of the official documentation says that the Norwegian Bliss is double capacity, or max capacity is 4,000 guests, there were 4,800 people on board the ship that were disembarking when we were getting on.
It was the prior voyage.
So I have a funny feeling that that's 4,000 at double capacity, or at, double occupancy, 2 people in a room. But it is big.
Did they announce how many people were on there? Is that how we knew, or was it from?
We asked one of the cast members, or one of the crew members, or somebody in the group did. Yeah. We had a long waiting for enough people to get off that for us to get on.
That's right. Yeah. So these tours that we were on, the ships were active. There were people disembarking and people getting on for the next cruise. And so we kind of had to thread our way through both of those.
Right. The Bliss is 16 passenger decks. So again, it's tall, it's wide, it's a little shorter, but you know what? It's not the size that matters. I don't know. I have no idea where I'm going with that. I will say the Norwegian Bliss initially had us very, very intrigued, because the first thing that we walked through was the Haven. And the Haven on the Norwegian ships is this ship within a ship concept of, if you think of the kind of concierge level experience, and you have private lounge and maybe a bar and a sun deck and things like that on a Disney ship, the Haven takes that to a whole new level. There's multiple pools dedicated, a couple different sun decks. There was 2 or 3 lounge areas, 2 or 3 bars. Like, it was just amazing and stunningly appointed. It was really, really nice. They have about 300 to 400 guests that are on the Haven. So out of between 4,000 and 5,000 guests on the Bliss, you'll have 300 to 400 that are in the Haven in terms of capacity. Folks that we talked with said it never really gets super busy because there's so much room for everybody to spread out, which is great. And we were like, man, this may be they're really nice for us. The restaurant looked amazing up there, like the dedicated Haven restaurant. Basically, you can go into the Haven and never leave.
Yeah. You don't have to go to the other areas of ship if you don't want to.
Right. It seems like something like if we were going to go do a Caribbean cruise and we've been to most of the ports, I don't know that we'd ever get off the ship or get out of the Haven. It would just be where we lived for a week, and it would be pretty darn cool.
Be a nice just relaxation. They have bar areas up there and everything too. It's private restaurants.
Yep. And all the prices include all the drinks and food, and all that dedicated stuff is all included when you're in the Haven. So it's a little more expensive, but you're getting a pretty decent deal.
It comes with a hefty price tag for sure.
Yes. And then we toured the rest of the ship. And I will say that even the Magic, when it was looking a little tired, a little ragged earlier this year, as it was getting ready to go into dry dock, it definitely had some wear and tear and some things needed to be taken care of. The Magic at 25 years old still looked better and fresher and more just ready to go and pristine than a 5-year-old ship did and
Yeah.
the Norwegian Bliss in the regular areas, the regular guest areas that were outside of the retreat. It
Yeah.
was shocking. It
was
wasn't dirty. It was just worn.
It was just worn. And the spaces themselves, like the walkways, were a lot more narrow than I was expecting. We didn't get a huge tour of the public areas. We walked through them. We just didn't get a good tour of them just because the majority of that tour was focusing on the Haven and then other suites and other rooms, staterooms and stuff.
Those rooms, the regular rooms, were tiny.
They were smaller than we are used to. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Just wow.
I did like some of the technology that they had available on the ship, though. Throughout the ship, there are touchscreen info kiosks that will just, they'll show ads like what's coming up that day or whatever. And they're all touchscreen. You can get information if you want to know when the specific times or shows are, what times they are. You can ask on there. If you also are lost and don't know where you are on the ship, you can plug in a stateroom number and it'll tell you where to go. I liked that aspect of it. I thought that was a really nice touch.
That was very cool. But you also had to use either the app on your phone or that touchscreen thing because no matter what you wanted to do, if you wanted to go to that evening show, you needed a reservation. Now, they did leave some room for walk-ins, especially if folks didn't make use of their reservation. But it was pretty much like you had to get a reservation for everything. And
did they not have a dining plan or something?
I'm trying to remember now.
I know there was smaller dining rooms.
Yes.
And then there was also like additional pay meals you could do.
It just felt like as they were explaining how everything works, you kind of had to make a reservation for just about everything. Even if you wanted to go, like if you didn't choose to do a set dining window, a set dining time, say like a 6 or an 8 p.m. kind of dinner, and you just wanted to do like a freestyle, I think this is what they call it, dining, which is kind of whenever you want to go, you still need to like get your name onto that list and get that pseudo reservation lined up if you wanted to eat at a peak time. It wasn't like you could just go walk up and expect to be guaranteed that a table was going to be ready for you right then.
Okay.
So they lean into the, like, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, all the rest of that stuff.
That's true.
Whereas if you compare that to Disney, it's a little bit more regulated. Here's your schedule. Here's when the things are happening. On the other hand, the free-for-all kind of made it seem a little bit more difficult, at least at the outset to me. Again, we haven't sailed on it, so I'm not speaking from experience, but I'm just speaking from what I saw and the kind of how the pitch went of how this worked to us while we were being showed around the ship.
Yeah, our first impressions of it.
Yeah, it just, I don't know.
There was definitely a lot to do above deck on the ship. They had, there was a mini golf area. They had a racetrack on the ship.
Go-karts. They had electric go-karts, though. That was cool.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. It was definitely, this was a family-focused cruise line. Norwegian, I would put in a family-focused category.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, Alicia and I really kind of discovered as we were walking around these ships and getting a feel for the vibes, our tastes are kind of changing. I'm not saying that we're going to go away from Disney Cruise Line, but being thrown into a kid-heavy kind of experience like we were seeing on the Norwegian wasn't super tempting. And, that's where doing like the Haven, where it's kids are welcome in the rooms, but in like the special sun decks and things like that set up for the Haven, the kids are not welcome there. It's 16 up. So, 16-year-old's still a kid, but whatever.
This is, to me, though, this is a very different type of kid-friendly boat. Because Disney is kid-friendly, but it does not have all these experiences, I guess. It's almost like a thrill park on top of a cruise ship.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's an adventure cruise.
Yeah.
I think Royal's probably a lot like that too, based on what we've seen from some of their advertising and stuff. Like it's much more catering to those families who want to go, do. Whereas a celebrity and kind of how we, at least, especially without the kids, cruise on Disney is a lot more relax, chill, enjoy the vibes, you know. It's just different. Now, I will give Norwegian a bonus in that they had like some pretty good entertainment going.
Yeah.
They had Jersey Boys, which has been out for a while, but they also had Six.
They have full Broadway shows
Right,
on
which
board.
Is pretty darn, I mean,
cruises.
Six is pretty darn new. Now,
Yeah.
it's a perfect show for a cruise ship because
It is.
it's basically
It's a
just a concert.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about a ton of sets and changes and all the rest of that. But yeah, I thought we were both taken aback. Like, wait, did you say Six? That's new. Like, we haven't even seen that yet. It's coming in a couple weeks. But
in a week or so. Yeah.
as we record this at least. But yeah, so Norwegian's out there. It's probably not for us, but it may be for you.
Yeah.
And if it is for us, we're probably going to be in the Haven.
This is true. Yeah. based on comparing Celebrity and Norwegian and Disney, I'd rather do Disney over Norwegian, and I'd rather do Celebrity over Norwegian. That is just me.
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary.
And I think depending on what we're looking for, Celebrity versus Disney is an interesting quandary.
Yeah.
If we're going and we're wanting that whole Disney experience and the characters and all the rest of that stuff, and we've got the kids with us and you know, like, are Sterling and want to go to the kids clubs and stuff like that, which are phenomenal on especially the newer Disney ships. Yeah, I think it's Disney all the way.
It's also the cast members. Now, we have not gone on any other lines. The crew may be stellar across all the cruise lines.
True.
We only have one to speak from experience wise.
Very true. Very true.
One last thing about the Norwegian Bliss that we noticed was they have solo traveler options. They actually have a lounge and a gated area, if you will, called the Solo Studio, where they have small staterooms for solo travelers. So it's a bed, a shower, TV.
Right. They're not huge rooms.
Yeah.
They're not a space where you would probably want to hang out a ton, but they do have them, and they would be great for folks who just want to be on the ship and just need a place to lay your head down, and you don't want to pay double for you to get a regular room. You just get a smaller room for just yourself and save some money. So that is definitely a popular option for many people.
Yep.
So moving on, the last ship we toured is the Holland America Westerdam. This is basically the same size as the Disney Magic and Disney Wonder, and that's because these are what used to be called Panamax ships. They were the largest size that could fit through the Panama Canal. And interestingly, they were all built at the Fincantieri shipyards in Italy. And I want to say Fincantieri has some sort of, or at least had some sort of template and said, here's a Panamax cruise ship. It has these kind of rough layouts. And then what do you, Holland America or Disney, want to tweak around that? Because there were so many times where you were walking through and you could say like, oh yeah, I could see echoes of a Disney ship here and how things were laid out. And it was really interesting to see some of those similarities. So the Westerdam is, again, we'll say the same size as the Wonder and the Fantasy, or the Wonder and the Magic, although the Wonder and the Magic did have a subsequent dry dock that lengthened them just slightly, so they're no longer can fit in the original Panama Canal. But the Westerdam has a passenger capacity, allegedly, in the neighborhood of 1,960 folks. We'll just call it 2,000. The Wonder and the Magic top out at about 2,400. There are 984 rooms on the Westerdam versus 875 on the Magic and the Wonder. They're both pretty much the same size in terms of gross tonnage, about 83,000 tons for the Westerdam and 84 for the Magic and the Wonder. So really very similar sizes there.
The Holland America Westerdam is very much a adult-focused ship.
Oh, yeah.
There are kids clubs on there, but most everything we saw was geared more towards adults.
Absolutely. In fact, I would say their core market is largely retired folks. Holland America has this interesting way of programming their ships. Well, scheduling, basically, they build their ship itineraries so they're not doing the same kind of things over and over. Now, it's a little difficult to do that with Alaska because there's only so many places that you can go.
Yes.
But Holland America loves to design their itineraries so you can stay on board for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. I mean, there are itineraries that can get you basically almost all the way around the world, if not all the way around the world in 6 months. And you're never visiting the same place twice.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So there's a lot of retired folks who don't have to, you're on a retirement trip. You're not on a vacation from a working job. I think that's the difference. And it was a stunningly beautiful ship. Like, it's very much old world charm, very like dark woods, and the art on here, holy cow, was just stunning.
Yeah,
really, really amazing stuff. Alicia and I both said to each other, I could see us sailing on Holland America when we retire. I don't know that it would be the right ship for us now.
Yeah.
But when we retire, I would love to go do a really long cruise that starts off in Florida somewhere and then ends up, you go to Scandinavia and then down around the Horn of South America and end up and do Alaska. Like, that sounds amazing. So I think this will be in our future, but not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. No. I did a quick look at itineraries, and from what I saw, it ran anywhere from 3 days to 158-day itineraries. So lots and lots of choices on the Holland America line.
In fact, your mom, Alicia, is one of those folks who likes taking advantage of that because she can take some longer stints.
Yeah.
And I think she's on a 35 or something like that, 36 night itinerary from Florida all the way here to Seattle
in like
next year.
2025. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's 2025. A couple of years from now.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. One of the things that we did note on this is the music options that this cruise has. It is music heavy, entertainment music heavy, where they have different
venues
that will focus on different types of music. There's a Rolling Stone lounge, which used to be, I think, a B.B. King lounge on that ship. There's a Billboard lounge. I think
they have a classical music space.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff.
They have partnerships with Rolling Stone, with Billboard, with the Lincoln Center, with B.B. King for Holland America, where those groups, those entities actually supply entertainers and musicians for these cruise ships. And so they're famous for what they call the music walk. And, every 45 minutes, there's a new set of live music happening in one of these venues. And so you have everything from a small chamber orchestra to, a blues entertainer and blues band from, signed off from by B.B. King, or at least his organization, like all sorts of stuff. Wide range of entertainment there was really, really, really interesting.
And they do, of course, like many other cruise lines, have their own higher suites and lounges available. They have something called the Neptune and Pinnacle suites, and both of those have private lounges attached to. Well, not attached to, but you have a private lounge you can use if you have one of those, and concierge as well. There are about 50 suites that qualify for that on the Westerdam that we toured.
Yep.
There's also a retractable roof over the pool, which I thought was pretty cool.
That was really nice because, if the ship's going to somewhere like Alaska, they're going to keep that thing closed. But if they're going down, into the Caribbean or in the Mediterranean in the summer or whatever, they have the option to open that up and all of a sudden you have an outdoor pool. So
Yeah.
that was really kind of nice. I liked the Westerdam a lot. The other thing that we got to do as part of these tours, so we'd get on board and we'd have a little presentation, and then we'd get to see a bunch of rooms, and then tour some of the public areas, and then we'd have lunch. And I will say that the staff on Celebrity was amazing. The staff on the Norwegian ship was pretty darn good as well. Staff on the Westerdam was a little, I don't know if that was just the person that we were with though.
Yeah.
They had a head server who was helping him out, and the head server was fantastic. So it may have just been someone new and trying to ramp up and get used to life on board, but it was good. I think the Westerdam was third place for me in terms of food quality though.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
I agree.
it just wasn't.
Yeah.
Now they didn't pour wine for us, which is fine. It's fine. Celebrity had a glass of red wine. It was phenomenal. The Norwegian had a glass of red wine. It was not good. And they kept, oh, do you want more? Do you want more? I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Please don't refill my glass. I could definitely see us surviving on the food on Norwegian.
Yeah.
Enjoying the food, enjoying kind of a foodie experience on Celebrity.
Not sure
The Westerdam
about,
would be,
yeah.
I don't know.
It was a bit of a miss for luncheon for when we were on that one.
Yep.
That may have just been that meal. The other ones may be wonderful. Who knows?
Maybe. So I think if we were to summarize kind of where we are in terms of comparing these three options against what we've experienced on Disney, I would say Norwegian is a discount Disney. Right? It is very family focused. It is all about entertaining the littles.
Yeah.
And the big littles,
Yeah.
people who are out to have a lot of fun and go, do. That is where Norwegian's target market is. Celebrity is Disney Cruise Line largely targeted just to adults. Like, it's a foodie experience. It is nightlife. It is hanging out and having a really great time. And they'll support kids and they have options for kids. But it's really about that adult experience. It really seems to match where Alicia and I have been doing lately on a lot of our cruises, especially with our great friends. The Westerdam is Disney Cruise Line for retired people and, going slower, just kind of there for the fun, just kind of chilling.
Yeah.
They all have their niches to play. Your mileage may vary with each of these options. You may hear about Norwegian and say, oh, that is totally what I want to go do. And that is great. We're not saying that you shouldn't do that. It just for us, we're just sharing where it fits kind of into our thinking. And the last thing, Alicia, you spent some time and you did some price comparisons. Can you kind of walk us through what you found?
Yes. So I tried to pull rack rates if possible. It's hard though because Norwegian was having this huge sale when I was looking at prices. So the numbers were pretty low. And when I tried to modify it to what it would be without the discounts, it was actually right around the costs of what Disney cruises were. Now, Disney is a premium cost for their cruises, and they very, very rarely have any type of promotions going on.
Versus, I think most all other cruise lines are always running some significant promotion.
Yeah, or will be soon or something like that.
Right.
I think Norwegian was the only one that really had something going on. Like it was 70% off the second cruiser type
Every
thing.
time in the last 6 months that I have gone on to Royal Caribbean's site, because I'm looking at something for our cruise that's coming up here in October, they always have like limited time, super deal. You're going to save blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
Yes,
that's the same thing you said 3 weeks ago. It's the exact same, like, they're basically always running, a last minute kind of sale. So
So I just did a really quick, like looking at an Alaska cruise for next year, a 7-night. Let me just go through like the most expensive first off. So on Disney, a concierge room for 2 adults for an Alaska cruise would be $17,000, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. Norwegian pre-discount for the Haven for 2 adults would be $16,000. With the current promotion that they had on, it would be $10,000.
wow.
Celebrity for their retreat class would be $8,000 for 2 people.
Okay.
Holland America, their Neptune and Pinnacle suites would be $7,000. And these are large rooms too. Mm-hmm. Like the Pinnacle suite would be comparable with, I would think, the Royal or on the Disney ships.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's shocking to anyone here that Disney is very proud of their cruise offerings. Yep. And they are very expensive.
Yep. Let me go through the veranda ones too. So,
I think that's probably more where...
veranda or ocean view.
Yes.
Right? So Disney veranda would be $8,000 for the stateroom. Norwegian would be $7,200 pre-discount. The current discount that they have going on, it would be $4,700 for a balcony. Wow. Celebrity for a veranda, this just blows my mind. Celebrity for 2 people for an Alaska would be $3,150.
So, needless to say, we are seriously considering a Celebrity Alaska cruise in 2025 on the Edge. Bill, come on. Let's go. Rachel's on board. Mary's already on board. Andrew's game. We just need you, Bill. Let's go.
One more. I have Holland America would be about just shy of $4,000 for a veranda. So, I mean, looking through it really just depends on what kind of cruise you want. Alaska is usually a more expensive cruise all around, which is one of the reasons I picked that, just to see where things were. Disney also only has currently a 5-ship fleet.
Right.
Whereas these other fleets are like 20 ships.
Yeah. And frankly, I hate to say this, I think Disney is going to have some quality problems for the next few years.
Yeah, I agree.
And I say that because of what happened last year when the Wish came online and their crew pool effectively got diluted. It took them some time to train up new folks into the Disney Cruise Line way. It took them time to frankly weed some folks out who weren't making that kind of cut. And I think as we see the Treasure come on, as we see the next one come on after that out of the new Triton class, and then we've got this behemoth that's going to be sailing out of Singapore.
That's what it's called, right? The Disney Behemoth?
The Disney Behemoth. We've coined it here first, folks. I am very, very concerned about the quality of the Disney Cruise Line experience over the next few years. I would be very, very happy to be proved wrong in that.
Yes. Yeah.
But I enter into this next period with a note of caution. And when I look at being able to sail on Celebrity for $3,200 versus $8,000 on Disney for effectively the same itinerary on a veranda room, I mean, that's savings. That's a lot of That's helicopter rides. That's dog sledding. That's bar tab. That's it's really hard for me to say, no, let's go with another Disney cruise. I'm really intrigued about Celebrity.
Yeah, well, we will try a Celebrity in the future in the next couple of years.
Yep.
We are doing a Royal Caribbean this October.
Yep.
At a little bit of an elevated stateroom.
Yeah.
We're not doing a regular veranda. We're moving up a little to a suite. I am very interested to see what our thoughts on that are. Now,
Yeah.
I love Disney Cruise Line
Oh, yeah.
so much. And it's not just the cast members, it's just the whole atmosphere of the cruise itself.
Absolutely. It is the vibes. It is the Disney vibes.
Yeah. I mean, we love Disney. There's a reason we have a podcast focused on Disney.
Right.
But I am interested to see how well we like a Celebrity cruise. And that'll be a couple years down the road. Because it is a significant cost savings.
Oh, yeah.
From my really quick research work on pricing. I didn't even look at the Caribbean cruises. Who knows?
Who knows?
Those could be more, less. We'll have to look.
Yeah. It's all in the name of content, folks. So we're going to be trying a bunch of cruises just so you don't have to. No, that doesn't sound right.
Just because we want to.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? While you may want to be like Alicia and sit down and spend 2.5 hours pricing out different cruises on 4 different cruise lines, you don't have to. You can, and you probably should, work with a travel agent. Whether that's somebody you know or somebody that you find or ask us or ask anybody, get a travel agent. They really, really help you book a great cruise, a great trip, a great vacation. And honestly, they're going to give you some really awesome kickbacks as well from especially if you're booking a cruise, because you're going to get the same price that you get from the cruise line, and then you're going to get some bonus perks on top of that. So
usually stateroom credit.
Absolutely. So find yourself a great travel agent that you can work with to plan your perfect vacation.
If you have any questions or suggestions, or if you would like to be interviewed on our show to share your Disney experiences, please send an email to podcast@ourmousecapades.com.
You can also give us a follow on social media. We're at Our Mousecapades. And please give us a rating and review in the Apple Podcast app. That really helps people find us.
Thank you for listening. We'll be in your ears next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.